Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Camille, and I read and review Christian fiction, Christian fantasy, no spice, romance, all of the things. Today is a really exciting video because we are doing a bookshelf tour. I am so excited. I've been wanting to do this for a while and I've been putting it off because I'm not sure how I'm going to do it all, but it's fine. We'll figure it out together. So, we are going to do that. This summer, I redid my library, repainted, moved my shelves to a different wall, stained the shelves, stripped all the paint off of them, stained them, everything. It was like a complete redo and I love it so much. And I'm so excited to show it to you guys. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you the bookshelves as a big picture and then we'll zoom in. I think we're not going to go in depth into my TBR. I think I'm going to do my TBR tour in a separate video, so we're just going to focus on my main bookshelf and all the books that I've read. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is the shelf that we're going to be talking about. This is a TBR shelf and I'll show it to you briefly, but we're not really going to talk about it. So this is the big picture, the shelf. I'll show you this wall where my desk is and where my little TBR cart is. My shelves used to be all on this wall. If you followed me, subscribed to my channel for a while, or if you've followed me on Instagram, my shelves used to be on this wall. My walls used to be like a light blue, but I love this dark green color. So this is the shelf that we are going to look at today. So first up, we have this top row here. This is all of the books that I used to read when I was younger. We have an Adventures in Odyssey guide. We have American Girl books, Julie, Caroline, McKenna, Isabel, all those books. And we also have Fancy Nancy and Inside Out graphic novel, on Elsa books. And I have Peter Rabbit. I have a couple more books behind that one. Then we have ballet shoes and skating shoes and theater shoes. And if you guys haven't read those books, I loved them when I was a little girl. Mary Poppins. And then I have Little House on the Prairie, Little House series. I don't have all the books. I'd love to have all the books someday. And then I have Ramona and Beezus, Henry and Beezus, a bunch of those books. I don't think I have the complete series. Pippi Longstocking, I also have, and I used to love that book when I was little. And then I have some Hank the Cowdog. I do not have all the Hank the Cowdog books. Maybe someday. I would love to have all those someday for my future kids. Then next we have a Bible. This is my Bible section right here. Just a bunch of Bible studies from the Daily Grace Company, and then a Bible that I got when I graduated high school, as well as a Bible commentary. This is my classic section right here. It's Anne of Green Gables, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Persuasion. I have Jane Eyre. I have two Agatha Christie books, and then I have G.A. Henty, which is one of my favorite authors that I loved when I was younger. I have In the Reign of Terror, In Freedom's Cause, The Cat of Bubastes, and then I have two editions of The Adventures of Robinson Crusoe. I also have a few Lamplighter books that are super pretty. Let me see if I can move the camera so you guys can see a little better. Okay, there we go. So I have some Lamplighter books, Helen's Temper, The Wanderer, and The Boy of Mount Rigi. I also have a copy of Romeo and Juliet, as well as Little Women, and then I have this cool edition of Little Men, as well as that older edition of Elsie's Holidays. That is my classics shelf. I have just this little section right here is my classic shelf. This next section that I have is my Tolkien section. It is my complete Tolkien collection of all the books I have. I want to get more of his books, but I have a special edition of The Silmarillion and Lord of the Rings, and then I have a copy of The Two Towers. My aunt gave me that copy when I graduated, and it's old and it has a really cool map inside. Then I have the full bind up of Lord of the Rings, and then just the regular mass market paperback. I don't think it's mass market, but of The Silmarillion and Fellowship of the Ring and The Return of the King. And then I have The Hobbit, and then I also have The Children of Hurin. Next up, this is one of my favorite series of all time. It is the Huntress series by Carrie Cotton. You guys, these books are so gorgeous. I love them. They also kick off my indie shelf. So all the books on the rest of the books on this shelf are all indie published. So we have Ties of Starlight by Celeste Baxendale. This book is The Starlit Prince. It is a special edition. I have the sprayed edges out because they're so pretty, by CFE Black. This is, oh boy, what is this one called? The Shadow Heir by CFE Black, and then I have Frostlight by Daniel Bolin, Rush of Ravens by Abigail Breyer with the pretty bookmark lady who makes bookmarks, made these for her series. And then I have These Hallowed Binds by A.M. Dalen, Cities of Smoke and Starlight, Realms of Wrath and Ruin, Regency and Regicide. And then I have the Mirveld Chronicles series by Selena R. Gonzalez. I love this series so much. It's so good. And then I have Stolen Midsummer Bride by Tara Grace and Bluebeard and the Outlaw by Tara Grace. They are just two little fairy tale retellings. And then I have books 1 and 2 in the Xeris Galaxy saga, Suspended in the Stars and Falling Through the Black by E.A. Hendricks. I have the Chronicles of Illyria, Once I Knew This Life of Mine, and The Lost Rose. And then I have Rune by Victoria McCombs, Quarter Labyrinth by Victoria McCombs. These are her indie books that she has published. Saints and Monsters by Ellen McGinty. And then I have Rapunzel's Gambit, by Mary Meekum. The Crown of Change, I do have 2 editions of this book because one of them was a gift. And then A Bond of Briars, The Betrayal of Eden, all by Erin Phillips. And then Kara Swanson's indie published novella, The Girl Who Could See. If you guys haven't read this book, you should because it is incredible. It has got the cutest cover ever, and it's just so good. Then we also have On Wings of Ash and Dust by Brittany Wang, and Indlewood and Aliferous by Alyssa J. Zavalinos. Those books are really good. So that is my indie shelf and my indie books. Next, we have, these are kind of like my middle grade books. So we have book 1 and 2 in the Wingfeather saga. I have the rest of the books, I just haven't read them yet. The Lost Prince of Samavia by Frances Hodgson Burnett. The Kingdom series by Chuck Black. The Green Ember series by S.D. Smith. And the Chronicles of Narnia series. Oh, The Magician's Nephew's missing. I've had these books since I was like 8 years old, and they are well loved. You can tell the spines. I love these books. They are some of my favorite books of all time, and I have loved them pretty much my whole life. So then we are going to start my traditionally published fantasy, and mixed in here is probably dystopian and sci-fi because I don't have enough of those to make one shelf. The first books are the Fireborn epic by Gillian Bronte Adams. I love these books. All the books facing out on these shelves are some of my all-time favorite books ever. Then we have Flameheart by Dalton and Emily Beckett. This is such a good book, you guys. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. The Out of Time series by Nadine Brandes, also such an awesome series, such an awesome dystopian series. Romanoff and Wistress and The Nightmare Virus, also by Nadine Brandes. And then we have Morgan L. Bussey, who is turning out to be one of my absolute favorite, all-time favorite fantasy authors. So I have the first book in the the Follower of the Word series, Daughter of Light, in the new Enclave editions. I have the other 2, I just haven't read them yet. The first 2 books in the Ravenwood saga. Again, I haven't read the 3rd book yet. The Skyworld duology and the Nordic Wars series. The 3rd book is not released yet. Sad, sad, sad days. And then we have Truth Cursed by Angie Dickinson, Unblemished by Sarah Ella. I need to read the rest of the series. I have them, I just haven't read them yet. Coral by Sarah Ella, The Wonderland Trials, and The Looking Glass Illusion. And then, new addition today to my shelf, Glass Across the Sea by Sarah Ella. This is her new release, and it is so good, you guys. And I also just wanted to point out that my books are organized first by genre, and then by alphabetically by the last name of the author. So that's how these books are organized, in case anyone was wondering. Next, we have the Weaver trilogy by Lindsay A. Franklin, The Story Peddler, The Story Reader, and The Story Hunter. This is such a good series, you guys. And then we also have The Unraveling of Emlyn Dulaine. This is book 1 in the Rivenly Sphere duology. This is one of my all-time YA fantasy favorites. I love it so much. I probably should have the cover facing out because I just love it so much. And then we have one of my all-time favorite fantasy series as well, the Nightingale trilogy and the companion novel Caligo. I love these books. They're so good. If you haven't read them, read them. It'll change your life. It might change your life. They're so good, you guys. Okay, so I have limited shelf space, so the rest of my fantasy, like published fantasy, not, what is the word? Like publishing house fantasy is on this shelf. So this is The Heart of the King by J.J. Fisher. This is her new release. The Fae Dynasty duology by Victoria McCombs. The Sky of Seven Colors and Ember Gold by Rochelle Nelson. The Chronicles of the Undersea Realm duology by Ellie Richmond. Andromache by Ellie Richmond. Dust and Shadow by Kara Swanson. And Ignite, also by Kara Swanson. And Darkfell by Amanda Wright. And from Darkfell, we actually shift into secular fiction right here for a second. Secular fantasy dystopian. We have the Selection series, which I think is it categorized as dystopian? I think it is. And then I have the Hunger Games series. I have this edition, and then my husband bought me this edition, which is really, really pretty. I think this is the Barnes and Noble exclusive edition. And then I have Caraval, Legendary Finale, and A Curse for True Love. And then I also have Divergent Insurgent by Veronica Roth. And then I have The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner. I need to read this whole series because this one is really good, and the other two books that I've read are really good too. So then we have this cute little book nook here that I built. That was a pain in my butt. I am never, ever, ever building another book nook ever again. It's just not worth it. It's a pain in the butt, guys. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. They're cute, but they're not worth it. So we have Authentically Izzy, Positively Penelope, Loyally Luke by Pepper Basham. This is a series. I don't know what the series is called. And then I have Some Like It Scott. Oh, I should have said this is my contemporary section. So it has like contemporary and rom-coms. So that's what this is. And then I have Sadie on the Rocks by Joanne Bischoff. This is a good book. I need to read the other one in the series. Seize the Day by Anna Barroso. This is an indie published book, but it's these ones right here are some of the only indie published books I own that aren't fantasy, and so I just decided to keep them with the rom-coms and contemporary romance. And then I have the Sweet Peach series by Anna Conwell. This is my favorite series of hers. So I own these ones. I am planning on getting the rest of them, but these are the ones I wanted to own first. So we have The Love Audit, One More Song, The First Taste, and One Last Play. These are cute. And then we have the Fog Harbor romance series by Nicole Deese. The Words We Lost, The Roads We Find, and The Roads We Follow, and The Voice We Find. Then I also have book 2 in the Cape Cod Creamery series by Suzanne Woods Fisher. And then I have The Retreat by Haley Gardner. I have the rest of the series. I just need to read it. Tea with Elephants and Gelato at the Villa by Robin Jones Gunn. These books are both so, so, so good. Jenny B. Jones, There You'll Find Me. I love this book, you guys. It is so good. And I never see anybody talk about it, but it's so good. And then I hardly ever see anybody talk about these books either. In Search of a Prince and To Win a Prince by Tony Shiloh. These was some of the first Christian fiction books I read last spring when I was going through a really hard time, and I just loved them so much. They were so good. Also, the same with this one, The Love Script by Tony Shiloh and A Run at Love by Tony Shiloh. Really, really good. Love all 4 of those books. They're both so good. Christmas with a Crank. This is literally one of the only Christmas books I think I own physically by Courtney Walsh. I just read this book last year and loved it so much. Like, I just loved it. And then I also have The Summer of Yes by Courtney Walsh, and I don't have a ton of her books, and that kind of makes me sad. Oh, I guess that is an indie book too. And then I have the Give a Bookish Girl a Biker series, The Backpack Bride, The Trauma Response, The Grump's Bodyguard, The Overdue Kiss, and The In Dilemma. And the friend group in this series is so good, you guys. I just love this series. One of my favorite rom-com multi-author series. And then I have a cute little globe on the end there. Okay, now we are moving on to historical fiction. And so this is still organized alphabetically by author. So I have If I Were You, Chasing Shadows, and All My Secrets by Lynn Austen. And then I have The Sons of Blackbird Mountain, Daughters of the Northern Shore, and The Gold in These Hills by Joanne Bischoff. These books are so good as well. The Paris Dressmaker, The Italian Ballerina, and The British Booksellers. I have discovered this year that Christy Cameron is like, I really like her writing, and especially for like historical fiction. Well, obviously, that's all she writes. But for historical fiction, I just love the way she writes. And then we have Elizabeth Camden. So we have With Every Breath, and then Carved in Stone, Written on the Wind, and Hearts of Steel. And these are part of a series. And then I have While the City Sleeps and When Stars Light the Sky. And the third book in this series is unreleased. It's not released yet. I think it's releasing next year, possibly. Then I have Amanda Dykes' All the Lost Places, The Indigo Heiress by Laura Franz. This was my first Laura Franz book, and you guys, what in the world have I been doing with my life? Because I loved her books. When the Meadow Blooms by Anne H. Gabhart. I haven't read this book in a long time, and I don't even remember if I liked it, and I kind of remember not liking it. It's on my shelf, though. So, and then I have The Foxhole Victory Tour and The Codebreaker's Daughter by Amy Lynn Green. These books are both so good. I did like The Codebreaker's Daughter a lot better than this one. And then I have Come Back to Me, Never Leave Me by Jody Headland. These are the first two books in the Waters of Time series. And honestly, guys, anything by Jody Headland that I've read, the romance is really like kind of more than I like. And so I don't know if I'm going to keep any of these books, but they're on my shelf for now. Calling on the Matchmaker, especially, I really didn't care for, but what are you going to do? Then I have Christie by Catherine Marshall. Then I have the Timeless series. So I have all 5 books so far, and the 6th one is releasing in November, and it's actually going to be part of a 10-book series. So we're halfway there, and I'm really excited for that. Then up next, we have my Tracy Peterson collection. Tracy Peterson is probably the first author I've ever read that was historical fiction, and this was my first ever historical fiction series that wasn't written for young girls. So I especially love this series, but this is the Brides of Gallatin County series. It is A Promise to Believe in, A Love to Last Forever, and A Dream to Call My Own. Then we have the Brookstone Bride series, and then we also have the Lone Star Bride series. This one I think she is a mail order bride in the first book. Then we have Land of Shining Water series, and I really, really remember loving this series too. Next we have Abide With Me and The Coal Miner's Niece, both by Michaela Robbins. These are also indie published, but again, I don't have very many historical fiction indie published, so they're just with all the rest of them. These are both really good. I really like these ones. And then we have my Sarah Sundin books. This is The Sea Before Us. This is book 1 in the Sunrise at Normandy trilogy. This is probably my favorite Sarah Sundin series or books that I've read so far, and I need to get the other 2. Then we have When Twilight Breaks, Until the Leaves Fall in Paris, Embers in the London Sky, and Midnight on the Scottish Shore. This is her newest release, and these are all fantastic. She is one of my favorite World War II fiction authors. Now, we are going to get to one of my all-time favorite historical fiction authors, Rosanna M. White. I think I have, if not all of her books, like 90% of her books. I think don't have a few that are indie published or from different publishing companies, but I have all of her Baker Bookhouse books. So first we have the Ladies of the Manor series. I never see anybody talk about this series, and it is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I think this is her debut trilogy, and these characters, they show up in this series, and they show up in this series, and they also show up or get talked about in these series, so it's really cool. It's like a whole connecting universe. And then we have the Shadows over England series, the Codebreaker series, and especially this one is one of my all-time favorite Rosanna M. White books. Then we have two standalones. This is Dreams of Savannah and Yesterday's Tides. The Secrets of the Isles series. I love this series. I also never see anybody talk about this series, and they should, because it is fantastic. So, The Nature of a Lady, To Treasure an Heiress, and Worthy of Legend. And then the Imposters series. I hardly ever see anybody talk about Rosanna M. White books, and they are fantastic. So, A Beautiful Disguise, A Noble Scheme, and Honorable Deception. So that is the Imposter series. She also has a Christmas novella, Christmas at Sugar Plum Manor, and The Collector of Burned Books. This one is her first World War II book, and it is very, very good. I also have these two books. These are Kimberly Woodhouse's series Treasures of the Earth, The Secrets Beneath, and Set in Stone. I haven't read the third book in the series yet. That is the end of my historical fiction. And then we move on to Regency, which is still organized alphabetically by author. So we have A Lady's Guide to Marvels and Misadventure, Dearest Josephine. I actually have never finished this book, so I'm not sure why it's here, but it is here. This is another series I never hear anybody talk about. The Hawthorne House series by Christy Ann Hunter. It is delightful. It is hilarious. The characters are so funny. This is the Haven Manor trilogy by Christy Ann Hunter. So you have A Defense of Honor, A Return of Devotion, and A Pursuit of Home. And then also by Christy Ann Hunter is Vying for the Viscount. What does that say? Winning the Gentleman, sorry. And Enchanting the Heiress. So these are all really great. I never really hear anybody talk about Christy Ann Hunter, but she's one of my favorite Regency authors. I also am starting to discover that I really like Julie Clausen. So we have Shadows of Swanford Abbey and The Sisters of Seaview, both really good Regency. This is a Regency mystery. This one is more of a romance lifestyle book with, I think there are four sisters. And then we have The Light at Windcliff by Sarah E. Ladd. Again, this was a book I listened to a really long time ago when I first started reading like adult books when I was like 15, 16. So I remember really loving this one. And then I have Hannah Linder, Beneath His Silence, and Never Forgotten. These are both Regency mysteries. The Love Note by Joanna Davidson Politano. And then we have the Matchmaker series by Jen Turano, A Match in the Making, To Spark a Match, and Meeting Her Match. She is great for lighthearted, slightly ridiculous characters, but sometimes you just need a laugh, and Jen Turano will give it to you every time. And then I also have her newest release, A Lesson in Propriety. I'm wanting to read more of her backlist, and she has a huge backlist. So then we have The Legacy of Longdale Manor, The Debutante's Code by Erica Vetch. This is by Carrie Taransky. This is a really good book. I really like this book. I listened to an audiobook of this book, but I was just thinking, it doesn't look familiar, but that's because I listened to it as an audiobook. And then I have Abigail Wilson. This is Twilight at Mornington Cross, Masquerade at Middlecrest Abbey, The Vanishing at Loxby Manor, and Within These Gilded Halls. These are Regency mysteries. And that is the end of my Regency section. I'm sad I don't have more Regency books. Okay, here's another little book nook I built. This one was a lot easier to build than the other one, but still frustrating. I don't recommend these things, guys. They are cute, but they are a pain. They are such a pain to build. Like, it is, unless maybe you're more crafty than I am, but for me, they're a pain. But this one's cute. Okay, next up, we have my biblical fiction shelf. This is my last section on this main shelf, but one of my favorite shelves. I have Land of Silence, Jewel of the Nile, The Hidden Prince, The Peasant King, and The Queen's Cook, all by Tessa Afshar. It is my goal to collect all of Tessa Afshar's books. I think I've listened or read most of them except for like two. So this is my collection so far. I have Isaiah's Daughter by Maysu Andrews. And I just pulled this book off the shelf this morning, but right here, Brave by Maysu Andrews goes here. And then I have one of my all-time favorite biblical fiction series is the Chronicles of the King series by Lynn Austen. This series is so good if you're looking for a series set during First and Second Kings and Chronicles and stuff. It's intense, and there are some pretty intense moments, but it is so good. So you have Gods and Kings, Song of Redemption, The Strength of His Hand, Faith of My Fathers, and Among the Gods. We'll move to one of my all-time favorite biblical fiction authors, Connellan Cassette. I own all of her books, you guys, and they're all amazing. So we have the Out from Egypt trilogy, Counted with the Stars, Shadow of the Storm, and Wings of the Wind. Then we have the Cities of Refuge series, the Covenant House series, the King's Men series, and there's still one more book coming in this series. Then that is all of Connellan Cassette's books. The Prince and the Prodigal, Up from Dust and Before the King by Heather Kaufman, Of Love and Treason by Jamie Ogle, and Hadassah, which is by Tommy Tenney, and this is the book, the inspiration for one of my favorite whoops movies. Sorry about that. And then I also have these antique older books. This is a book of famous poems: Ben-Hur, the Odyssey, and the Three Musketeers. That is my bookshelf. And then my last shelf is this shelf. These two shelves are nonfiction shelves. So these are all the nonfiction books I own. I haven't read all of these. So I have C.S. Lewis, got some other ones sprinkled in there. So this is my nonfiction, and then these two shelves, I can just show you guys a really quick peek as my TBR shelves. So quick peek, that's all you get, but that is my bookshelf tour, you guys. Yeah, that is all of the books that I own, and all of the books on this shelf I actually have read, all of them, except for maybe one or two. So thank you guys so much for watching my bookshelf tour. Comment down below if you've read any of the same books. If you have any of the same books, I'd love to hear all about your guys' book collections. I hope you love this video. I love seeing other people's book collections, so that is why I made it. I also just love talking about books that I love. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!